Hello there, and thank you for joining us right here in Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. This is World News. My name is Esther Nwachukwu, and here are the top stories. President Tinubu approves relocation of 29 correctional centers. Police Service Commission confirms awareness of police atrocities, rights abuse, extortions in Southeast. Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida disagrees with the term Igbo coup. Discloses Igbo officer crushed 1966 coup. Court orders conduct of Osun local government elections on Saturday, February 22. And Natasha Akpoti speaks on clash with Akpabio at the Senate. Details now. We'll begin from stories outside the shores of Nigeria, where U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy for Ukraine says he held extensive and positive discussions with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as the White House looks to strike a deal with Kiev on accessing the country's critical minerals in exchange for U.S. assistance. A long and intense day with the senior leadership of Ukraine, Keith Kellogg wrote in a February 21 post on X. Kellogg called the Ukrainian president an embattled and courageous leader of a nation at war, while Zelensky said that the meeting restores hope following a public rift between Kiev and Washington, with Trump calling the Ukrainian president a dictator without elections and Zelensky accusing him of echoing Russian propaganda. The conciliatory comments came on the final day of a multi-day visit to Ukraine by Kellogg and a few days after U.S.-Russia talks in Saudi Arabia about ending 3 years of war in Ukraine. In addition to exploring the path for a peace deal, Kellogg's visit came amid discussions between Kiev and Washington on reaching a possible agreement that would grant the United States access to lucrative Ukrainian critical mineral deposits as compensation for past U.S. aid following Russia's full-scale invasion, while also potentially securing future American assistance. While back home, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has given approval for the relocation of 29 correctional centers from urban areas to other locations. This development was made known today by the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, during the unveiling of some operational vehicles for the Nigerian Correctional Service. The minister reiterated the government's commitment to enhancing security and decongesting cities by moving correctional facilities to more suitable locations. Now, the chairman of the Police Service Commission, Deputy Inspector General of Police Hashima Agungu, retired, has disclosed that the commission was aware of unethical practices of policemen in the Southeast. DIG Agungu disclosed this today while delivering his goodwill message at the opening ceremony of Southeast Stakeholders Summit on Peace and Security in Enugu State. The PSC chairman decried that police officers in the Southeast have gone out of boundary of their professional service in the region. He highlighted that roadblocks were turned into extortion points, policemen meddled in civil matters, and engaged in human rights abuse in the region. He regretted the high rate of corruption orchestrated by policemen in the region. The commission, he says, has continued to observe the corruption and extortion that dots all the roads traversing this region by virtually all the security operatives who are supposed to safeguard the roads and restore unhindered movement of people, goods and services. The roadblocks mounted by these security agencies have unfortunately turned into toll gates where road users are forced under gunpoint to part with money. The Commission is also aware of the serious human rights violations by some misguided police officers in the Southeast who, against the Commission's several warnings to stay away from civil matters, have continued to swim in it because of the financial attraction. DIG Agungu assured that the Commission would take necessary actions against the activities of gang or policemen in the region. Now, former military head of state Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida has disclosed that it was an Igbo officer, Major John Obienu, who crushed the 1966 military coup. General Babangida disclosed this on page 39 of his book, A Journey in Service. He stated that the ethnic coloration given to the coup as Igbo filtered in as a result of the killing of the then Sardauna of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello, and his wife Hafsatu. Babangida noted that Kaduna Nzogu, who led the coup, was more Hausa as any other Hausa than he was an Igbo. He further stated soldiers who were not of Igbo origin also joined and played active role in the coup. The page reads, as a young officer who saw all of this from a distance, probably ethnic sentiments did not drive the original objective of the coup plotters. For instance, the head of the plotters, Major Kaduna Nzogu, was only Igbo in name. Born and raised in Kaduna, his immigrant parents were from Okpanam in today's Delta State, which in 1966 was in the old Midwestern region. Nzogu spoke fluent Hausa and was an Hausa as any. He and his original team probably thought, even if naively, that they could turn things around for the better in the country. That said, it was heinously callous for Nzogu to have murdered Sir Ahmadu Bello and his wife Hafsatu, because not only were they eminently adored by many, but also because they were said not to have put up a fight. From that moment, the putsch was infiltrated by outsiders to its supposed original intention, and it took an unmistakably ethnic coloration, compounded by the fact that there were no related coup activities in the eastern region. It should, however, be borne in mind that some senior officers of Igbo extraction were also victims of the January coup. For instance, my erstwhile commander at the Reconnaissance Squadron in Kaduna, Lieutenant Colonel Arthur Chinyelu Unegbe, was brutally gunned down by his own brother, Major Chris Anufuru, in presence of his wife, his pregnant wife, at his 7-Point Road residence in Akpakpa for merely being a threat to the revolution. As a disciplined and strict officer who, as a quartermaster general of the army, was also in charge and other vital items of ammunition, weapons, equipment, vehicles for the army, the coup plotters feared that he might not cooperate with them. It should also be remembered that some like Major Adewale Ademoyega, Captain Ganiyu Adeleke, Lieutenant Fola Oyewole, and Olafimiha took part in the failed coup. Another officer of Igbo extraction, Major John Obienu, crushed the coup. He further stressed that some believe that the original intention of the coup plotters was to release Chief Obafemi Awolowo from prison. Those who argue that the original intention of the coup was anything but ethnic refer to the fact that the initial purpose of the plotters was to release Chief Obafemi Awolowo from prison. End quote. An Osun State High Court sitting in Ilesa has ordered the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission to conduct the state's local government elections slated for Saturday, February 22. Justice A.A. Aderiwibe, who gave the ruling today, declared the positions of chairman, vice chairman and councillors in the state's 30 local governments vacant. The court gave the ruling in favour of the claimant, the People's Democratic Party. Defendants in the case include the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission and its chairman, Hashim Akintunde Abiyoye. The lawmaker representing Kogi Central, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, has revealed that she has been facing several challenges following a recent clash with the Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Speaking during an interview on a monitored family program, which is a human rights radio and television show hosted by Ahmed Issa, popularly known as Ordinary President, Natasha lamented her ordeal. Her remarks come in the wake of a confrontation with Senate President Akpabio during a plenary session on Thursday over a controversial seating arrangement. The altercation began when Natasha discovered that her designated seat had been reassigned upon resumption of the Senate session. Refusing to comply with the change, she openly challenged the decision, leading to a heated exchange in the chamber. A viral video captured the moment she confronted Akpabio, boldly declaring, "I am not afraid of you." During the program, Natasha further alleged that some of her parliamentary privileges have been unfairly withheld. "I have been going through a lot and I have remained quiet because I didn't want to be interpreted wrongly. I didn't want any lawsuit against me. I just wanted to be given the chance to work. A lot of my privileges have been denied. I have been pulled out of many international activities that I have been part of since the whole nightclub incident that happened last year. In fact, there was also even a United Nations event that I was supposed to attend, which I was nominated for, but my name was struck out, that they would not promote me in any event internationally. So every event that I've been going to since last year has been self-sponsored. I've been going through a lot. Yesterday, I did not speak out of order. He was reading my suspension and I had to invoke Order 10, which is an order of privilege." You're currently listening to the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll head into a news analysis segment. Obviously, I'll be joined via the telephone by Barrister Fred Nzako. He was a political and national social affairs commentator, also an economic strategist. We'll be right back shortly. Do kindly stay with us. You're still listening to the World News right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. In more news reports, the indigenous people of Biafra, has called on the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led Nigerian government to organize a referendum for the peaceful exit of Biafra, warning that failure to do so may lead to another war. To prevent a repeat of the 1967 to 1970 civil war, it actually disclosed that IPOB maintained that since the Nigerian government does not consider the southeast part of its territory, they should heed the call for a Biafra referendum and allow for peaceful exit to avoid another civil situation. The group, formed in 2014 to champion the restoration of the defunct Biafra Republic, accused the Nigerian government of deliberately excluding the southeast from all capital projects in the 2025 national budget. This is a clear confirmation that the Nigerian state has denied Indigo citizenship, said Imam Powerful, IPOB's Media and Publicity Secretary. IPOB emphasized that the Southeast contributes significantly to Nigeria's economy, with over 40% of revenue from oil, gas, and non-oil sectors coming from the region. The group regretted that despite this, no capital project was allocated to the region in the 2025 budget. While criticizing the Southeast lawmakers for their inaction, IPOB stated that the true representatives of the people would have boycotted the National Assembly in protest for the alleged manifest hatred to their people. He also disclosed further that it was important for the government's call to action or otherwise allow them to exit, or rather organize a referendum for Biafra exit. And actually, I'm connecting with Barrister Fred Inzako right now via the telephone to give us his insights into some of the stories read out on the World News at 6. One of the information I want Barrister Fred Inzako to give us his own insight, clarification, and possible experience is the 1966 tag Igbo coup. Now, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, who was also a witness of that particular event, has come out to discredit that particular tag called Igbo coup. Barrister Fred Inzako, good evening and thank you for joining us on the World News at 6.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you so much. Barrister, let's hear this. IBB's memoir, a lot is being revealed. Aside from apologizing yesterday, on a particular page of the book, that is the page where this particular information was brought up, page 39 of his book, A Journey in Service, he disclosed that the ethnic coloration given to the 1966 coup is not what it is. In fact, according to him, he said that indeed Major Nzogu is just Igbo by name, but he was as a Hausa as any. He was deeply rooted Hausa as any other Hausa you can imagine. In fact, he stated that he was brought up in Kaduna, although he's from Delta, then it was in the mid-western region. He said that experiencing what transpired from a distance, he said the coup plotters, for instance, the head of the coup plotters, Major Kaduna Nzogu, was only Igbo in name. Born and raised in Kaduna, his immigrant parents were from Okpanam in today's Delta State, which in 1966 was in the old Midwestern region, and that he spoke fluent Hausa. He says that it will be heinous for anyone to call that particular coup and Igbo coup. That the reason why that ethnic coloration came was because of the late Sardauna of Sokoto, who was killed along with his wife. And they did not put up a fight, considering the fact that they were hugely adored by their people. And that's why the ethnic coloration came. The whole essence of that coup was to free Awolowo from prison. Now, I don't know if you remember the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. On that particular day, Reno Omokri, a major critic of Peter Obi and his supporters, came out and put up a very disturbing, distorted tweet. He knew the reason, or he knew the true history of that particular coup, but he wrote it out there to create ethnic tension, rouse division in the polity. Barrister Fred Nzako, do you think that IBB coming to make this clarification will change any narrative that is already being consumed by those who just want to remain in bigotry?
Well, IBB's clarification came at a time when most people who wanted to know the truth know that the coloration of 1966 coup, calling it an Igbo coup, was just a mere sentimental bigotry. At that time, the issue of deep ethnicity, as we have today, was not in existence. the leader of the coup, Major Chukwu Makadona Nzobo, was more of a northerner than an Igbo man. And then even the other participants in the coup were more of non-Igbos. And if a loose cannon, a rolling stone that gathers no more, a loose cannon that lacks direction like Red or Mokle, begins to fan embers of discord, it simply tells you that he's just trying to seek for attention. The man who was in the middle of the theater of action, the man who was watching the issues for a distance, General Ibrahim Babangida had said it emphatically that that coup was not to be called an Igbo coup. And as a matter of fact, that the whole essence was that it was really an Igbo man that put the coup.
Yes.
In the name of General Gadwin. And the whole essence of the coup, by even those who were allowed to write their memoirs, obviously they needed to free Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who they felt was wrongly incarcerated in a Calabar prison. And that such a restoration will not go well for the development of Nigeria, because Chief Obafemi Awolowo was an icon that needed to put in his best towards the development of the country. But some naysayers and some ethnic bigots would want to target some acronym that does not fit it, just to either put the embers of discord or to make themselves look nicer. And I think that every reasonable fellow who observes Nigerian political experience and history would not have anything to do with Mr. Reno Omope, who himself must have known the truth, but because he is a loose cannon that just wants to sound loud, he just misyanning in a manner of speaking.
But Barrister, you may say he's just a loose cannon and mere talk, but you don't know the kind of divisiveness and hatred, especially of a lot of young Nigerians who did not experience the Civil War, or whose narration or orientation of the Civil War is coming from a particular informed, colored perspective. Let me give you an instance. On that particular day, when that particular story came out, or when that tweet came out, those who are supporting this administration sort of came up with terrible ethnic sentiments. Now, it's been so bad, even if ethnic tensions have been there, I, for one, I have never witnessed the kind of division being witnessed ever since the 2023 elections were conducted. And this is how history can be distorted if people do not take time to go through and research. If this kind of situation occurred where you had other military officers who were not of Igbo extraction, in fact, he even gave an example of a particular one who is of Igbo origin, but killed his brother because he thought his brother was not going to be part of the plan. And he killed his brother in front of his pregnant wife, his 7-month pregnant wife, just so that the plan would not be called off. They thought that that particular military officer was going to distort the plan. So if this kind of thing occurred where somebody from the same origin or ethnic group killed his brother for this particular, how do you now call it an Igbo coup? How do you target an Igbo coup?
Any young man or young person who wants to know the truth, you know what book to read and what opinions to follow. Opinions that are malevolent, inordinate, and baseless are not supposed to form the basis of any young fellow. Any young man who wants to learn, who wants to understand, he will know what to read and what not to read. So in search for information, one should search at the appropriate place and you get the appropriate information. There are many historical books giving account of what happened from independence up to the Civil War, up to the end of the Second Republic, and up to today. It behoves on anybody who wants to go into Nigerian historical development to read the right books and read the right from the right sources. People like Reno don't belong to such a high topic. If any young man wants to follow such a loose canon, then the young man can as well decide to blindfold himself and walk into the forest.
All right, but Barrister Fred Nzako, how do we get a clean slate from then? For example, IPOB made a very recent declaration where they said that the federal government of Nigeria should organize a referendum for the peaceful exit of Biafra, warning that failure to do so may lead to another civil war. They are saying that because of the exclusion of the territory, that the southeastern territory from infrastructure projects allocation from the federation, and that since they are not included in all of this economic development and viability, then they should organize a referendum so they know they can leave, rather being part of something where they're not recognized and there is no effort in order to economically uplift them. They also disclose that they contribute 40% of VAT allocation or revenue to the federation. So how do you react to this?
Well, the issue of referendum is not new to Nigeria. Western state was created out of referendum in 1963. So if we do a referendum to determine the way we cohabit, there's nothing wrong. But if the referendum is not a popular principle or popular procedure, how about the restructuring? That, of course, we have the template on ground, and we know that will help Nigeria. How about justice? How about taking away tribalism, ethnicity, and nepotism from our political system? These are the things that will bring in fairness, equity, and justice in our daily dealings. How about reports of various national conferences? How do we make good use of them for the growth and development and the unity of Nigeria? I tell you that Nigerians know what is good for them. The problem they have is that those who are opportune to be in leadership position, they care less about the health of the country and care more about holding on their position and that of their cronies and so on. Otherwise, nobody can tell me that we as Nigerians don't know what to do to move our country forward towards getting better in terms of development, especially unity and cohesiveness. But where we are going today does not give room for all those positives that we require as a country. I keep asking that question. Nigeria has not become a nation. When will Nigeria become a nation? When will the majority of Nigeria be patriotic? When are we going to have citizens of this country? Because we don't have citizens. What we have in the majority are occupants of Nigeria and very little citizens.
Occupants of Nigeria and very little citizens?
And very little citizens. That is the irony of the Nigerian environment.
Barrister, I watched a senator who was actually complaining about federal infrastructure being implemented in the Southeast. The senator got up and complained, or a House of Rep member, and that how can a rail line construction, and they excluded the entire Southeast and the South for that. And other regions, I think it was Lagos, Kaduna, and one other state, that was given that opportunity for that construction to go through, or that rail line development to pass through. And this is the thing. A lot of persons from the southeastern region feel that they are underrepresented. Those at the National Assembly and House of Reps who are meant to represent them are not speaking. And that even amongst themselves, they're not protecting the interests of their people. So when you have those at the hierarchy who are meant to fight for, speak for, represent the interests of their people, how then will the other collective take them serious when their leaders sort of have betrayed them or sabotaged them?
Well, if you say the leaders are not speaking, then you may not be very fair to the leaders. But the thing is that when they speak, how does the society listen and process their speech? And how does the society react? And when I say society, how does Nigerian society react to the speeches, to the consultations to the advice of the leaders in the Southeast. Nigeria has a gas master plan, a gas pipeline master plan that is essentially meant to terminate in various industrial cities of the country. As I'm talking to you, the Southeast was completely avoided. Southeast, the whole of Southeast, including our bank on the Channel, there is no gas master plan that touches all those locations. The federal government under Muhammadu Buhari planted the railway master plan and avoided the Southeast. Rather, they took it to Nigerian Republic, another country. Buhari not only did railway for them, but also did a very beautiful express road to Nigerian Republic. And information has been that there is a bank in the Nigerian Republic that was funded with Nigerian money. How do you now explain this type of marginalization? In fact, it has grown from marginalization to deprivation. And when the people of Southeast cry, they said they are not the only ones being marginalized. Out of the 6 geopolitical zones, it's only in the Southeast that you have 5 states. Others have 60, and with Northwest having 7 states. Again, it is marginalization. The port system that was supposed to be functioning for the benefit of the Southeasterners has been intentionally marginalized, and they are not working. Again, marginalization. We have grown tired of complaining. And that is why we keep saying, let there be a restructured policy so that whatever you have in your region, use it to develop your region. Because that is what has made America what they are. This quasi-unitary system that is a kwashiorkor federalism that we practice today is holding everybody down. There is an adage in Igbo land that says, if you are holding somebody down, you are also holding yourself. Because the very moment you leave the person to free yourself, the person will get up. Nigeria is holding themselves down, thinking they are holding something down. And that is why the entire country is not moving. When we restructure this country, let every region take care of themselves and bring their contribution to the center. If this is done, I tell you, there will be no more cry of marginalization, there will be no more cry of deprivation, and there will be no more mischievous policies of government that are tailored towards the possible. What you now have with the healthy competition, healthy rivalry that will be development oriented, as we used to have it between 1960 and 1964.
All right. Now, in what you have explained now, would you say that this is the right time for this memoir of Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida? His disclosure yesterday about regretting and taking responsibility for the annulment of the 1993 elections that actually approved Abiola, the late Abiola, to have actually won that election. A couple of persons felt that the apology is coming very late. It's belated. But this development, this particular information he released in his memoir, coming from somebody who witnessed the war and how it was carried out, would you think is going to change the narrative being painted towards, the Southeast? Do you think it's going to help to stimulate development and consideration from the federal government? What's your take on that?
Well, what I think is that if Nigeria wants to develop, development has to be evenly spread.
Okay.
This unnecessary marginalization against a certain section of the country will not do the country any good.
Okay.
Rather, it will continue to harm the country. When Babangida announced the 1993 election, we all sprang up in defense of the mandate of Mutuna. So many people lost them.
Hello?
And today, President Babangida yesterday apologized and owned for the ownership of that infamy, that notorious action that the military took in 1993. But I tell you that his apology is not enough, because that development has caused irredeemable damage to Abiola's family, to the families of those who lost their lives, to the psyche of Nigerians, and to the trajectory of our developmental paradigm. So whatever apology he is giving to Nigerians will never be enough. But there's nothing we can do other than to begin to heal. And unfortunately, he did not even give reason why that amendment was implemented. He only took apologize to the people, and then took responsibility for his action. Of course, he was to take that, but calling Abacha that is now late to be the first blame is one that Nigerians will not accept. Because even as we speak, the truth about what caused that annulment has not been said. Fingers are pointing at developed countries who are uncomfortable, especially the United States, that was uncomfortable with the reparation campaign carried out by Moshood Abiola between 1990 and 1992. Such reparation campaign sent cold shiver to the spine of America, Britain, and other countries that benefited from the colonialism of the black race and the era of slave trade. Germany paid reparation to the rest of the world on account of their causing the First and Second World War. So there was a template for reparation payment. And these other advanced countries that benefited from colonialism and from slave trade were to pay for the sins of their forefathers. And Adola had already said that. Two countries in Southern Africa had stopped paying their debt to Paris Club and the London Club of Creditors because they felt that the reparation issue must be settled. So if they say it was Abacha, I, for one, do not accept such narrative from Babangida. The advanced world had a hand in it. And even when the then ambassador to Nigeria was holding meetings with Nadeko, he was only acting as a spy. And the Nigerians didn't know. But when he was holding meetings, he was sending messages back to his home country. All those things have now become issues in the public domain. And one was visited by Thomas Pickering and his group, who was a retired deputy director of CIA. And Ganifa Himi shouted
sections of the book, which a couple of people would find that would be of national import. And I think it's a way of trying to sell the book as fast as possible. Barrister Fred Nzako, let's look at the Police Service Commission. The chairman of the Police Service Commission and the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Hashima Agungu, disclosing that the commission was aware of the unethical practices of policemen in the Southeast. Now, you would know that a lot of Southeasterners, or those who ply that corridor, have been complaining on several occasions consistently on the traumatic experience of extortion, harassment, and bullying from the security officials who are conscripted on that corridor. And the question is, if this Police Service Commission is telling us that they are aware of the unscrupulous activities of their men, obviously they're not just knowing about it now. Why are they just disclosing it? Why have they not set up a panel? Why have they not done something, or possibly extracted those guys out of that corridor if they see the menace those individuals have constituted there? Barrister, let me take your mind back. Just in January last month, yes, towards the ending of last month, a particular report from Inter-Society actually came up telling us that about 20 billion naira extorted in Southeast within 2 months, 180 killed from the police and the military men along that corridor. How do you react to this?
If you ask any policeman, in all honesty, when he writes a farm, he will tell you that he would like to serve in Anambra State. If you ask those who are in Anambra, whether they would like to be posted out, they'll tell you they never will want to be posted out. And the most fertile place for a policeman to start in Anambra State. What did they say so? It was for the extortion. Between Onitsha and Enugu, a distance of about 80 kilometers, you will have between 25 and 30 checking points. Police, army, custom, all manner of, including NDA, all security operatives are on that corridor. Between Onitsha and Owerri, you will meet close to 25 checking points as well. So if anybody brings a report that they extort close to 15 billion in a year in the Southeast, it is not a bad report. Because they are there. Meanwhile, even with all these checkpoints, you think that they are there to secure the people. If they are there to secure the people, the state of insecurity, the devil Southeast in recent times, will not be there. So that simply tells you that they are not there for the security of the people, but they are there to millions extort and expropriate from the people and go home smiling to their bank. And if the police hierarchy say they don't know, then they are hiding behind their finger.
You know, they have actually admitted that they know. They have actually admitted that they know. My own question is, what have they done since about it? There have been several complaints on several radio stations about the menace and the melee of these activities of these unscrupulous security officers. What have they done since then?
The Southeast is considered a conquered territory.
Wow.
It's as unfortunate as that.
It's considered a conquered territory?
It's a place where you go and make money without anybody asking questions. The people of Southeast have cried to high heavens. The police authorities have refused to listen to their cries. So if they are waking up today to say they want to do something, the people will be happy that they do something about it. Because we have said that for people of the Southeast who are very mobile, you don't need to be blocking that on the way. Rather, you use motorized intelligence patrol to do your work. But the largest number of network of road blockage in the entire country is found in the Southeast. The roadblocks in the Southeast are more than the roadblocks in the Northeast, Northwest, and North Central combined together. That tells you how terrible the state is. And we cannot stop asking the authorities to do what is right. The federal government must act positively and dismantle all these roadblocks and ensure that they are thoroughly dismantled and not to hide behind their fingers to begin to claim that they don't know. They know, and it is regular. And part of them are receiving also to the rocks and for the bottom and monitoring for the roadblock.
Barrister Fred Nsako, I want to say thank you so much for taking your time and giving us insights into some of the questions posed at you. I sincerely do appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Happy Friday to you, sir. And now to wrap up here again at the top stories. President Bola Tinubu approves relocation of 29 correctional centers. Police Service Commission confirms awareness of police atrocities, rights abuse, extortions in Southeast. IBB disagrees with the term Igbo coup, discloses Igbo officer crushed 1966 coup. Court orders conduct of Ocean local government election on Saturday, February 22. And Natasha speaks on clash with Akpabio at the Senate. That's a wrap on the world news at 6 right here in Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachuku. Good evening and thank you for